you're from Chicago. We have a lot of thoughts about this. Expectations extremely high, of course, for Caleb Williams coming into the NFL. He's been one of the most hyped rookie quarterbacks in years, and the Bears are hoping he lives up to all the talk. But Mark Schlereth thinks that we should be cautious when discussing how great Caleb will be in the NFL.
Everybody's, generational talent. Man, one of the slowest guys getting the ball out of his hand in college football. And there's a lot of, if that number one dude ain't open, just go scramble around and make a play. And it's not how the NFL works. You can't be a 50-50 on schedule, off schedule quarterback and survive in the NFL. I see the talent. There's no question about the talent. But generational talent doesn't mean generational quarterback.
I like it. I am with Schlereth here. I am in the belief that I think we need to pump the brakes when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, because remember, there was similar hype to Trevor Lawrence that this is going to be the guy that changes the franchise forever and everything's going to change. And they're kind of a mid-team. Now, you know the Bears. You've been disappointed by the Bears, I'm sure, for years and years. Do you really think that this is the guy that's going to change everything for the franchise? Does it really come down to a single quarterback?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, it does.
Huh.
The Bengals were the Bungles until they got Joe Burrow. The Chiefs hadn't won a single playoff game with the quarterback that they had drafted. Not playoff game, regular season game. One game since Todd Blackledge in the 83 draft before Patrick Mahomes came around. They had won games. They had Trent Green and Joe Montana, but a quarterback that they drafted. Now, Patrick Mahomes, they're set. They're looking to be a dynasty in the three-peat and all of that. So, yes, it's a quarterback league. Now, it's a team sport. It takes coaching. It's more than that. But we've never seen a number one overall pick enter this situation. They won 7 games last year. Great players on the offensive and defensive side of the ball that are in their prime. These are not old players. They're under contract. It's a good core. Keenan Allen's the only one who, how much prime does he have left? But he's only there for 1 year. And yes, Caleb Williams played off schedule at USC. But he didn't throw a bunch of interceptions. He had too many fumbles, no question about it. This is a guy who had 1 red zone interception in 2 years at USC. This is a guy who lost 8 games at USC, and in the 8 losses, USC's defense allowed more than 30 points in all 8 of them. So he had to have that touchdown mentality. He couldn't settle for field goals. Their offensive line was bad. Their defense was atrocious. So he had to play hero ball. He has said that he craves structure and a good defense and just get the ball out of his hands to playmakers. So will there be some improv stuff? Yeah, but that's what makes Aaron Rodgers amazing. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes amazing. So this kid's ceiling is so unbelievably high that, Stink will be in a little bit later on. I'll yell at him about Caleb Williams. Yeah, he's going to be good.
You are the most hopeful Bears fan I think I've ever met.
Well, listen, I've literally never seen the Bears have a good quarterback in my life.
No.
Okay, I'm born after the 85 Bears Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They've never had a 4,000-yard passer. They've never had a 30-touchdown quarterback. They're the only franchise in NFL history that can claim both of those things. I was a believer in Mitch Trubisky. I was wrong. I was a believer in Justin Fields. I was wrong. I'm not going to be wrong forever. I can't stay wrong forever. Caleb's the answer. Caleb's the guy.
All right. I hope for your sake that is true. Now to the NBA. Jason Tatum finally won his first.
Ashley Brewer, who will have the news in just a little bit. And then coming up this hour, we're going to talk to my guy, Connor Rohr. Connor Rohr, kind of the king of NFL offseason content generation. He does hot takes and lists and all these things, and it's appreciated for those of us in the content space who want to be talking football 365 days a year. And he today over at Sports Illustrated released his list of the 12 teams who can make the Super Bowl. And I'm like, Connor, you're frustrating me. First of all, you normally do 13, so I feel like you're shortchanging me, which I don't like. And we sit here in the second week of July. We know that this isn't true. We know it's not true. We know that more teams than 12 can win the Super Bowl. So that's his list. Chiefs, Bills, Jets, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Texans, Niners, Rams, Lions, Packers, Eagles. Yeah, I'm with you. All of those teams could win a Super Bowl. Do you have to squint and think, okay, Stafford was amazing, McVay's great. They need to have a lot of health. It's an old team. It's not a deep team because they haven't had a lot of draft picks recently. Sure. Jets, tough conference. Again, a lot of aging players, a lot of injury risks there. The Browns, an 11-win team with a great roster. Are they ever going to get it back to Deshaun Watson, what he looked like with Bill O'Brien when he had the 5,000-yard season in his early 20s? I'd bet against it. But, sure, all of those teams could win the Super Bowl. But we see 50% turnover of the NFL playoffs every year. There's a worst to first team every year in the NFL playoffs. And if you make it, you can win the Super Bowl. We've seen that before. You could be a wild card team and be in the Super Bowl. You could be a wild card team and win the Super Bowl. You could be a 9-win team in the regular season and win a Super Bowl. We've seen all of these things before. It's a single elimination tournament, which lends itself to a high degree of variance. And so, let's just go through a few teams that were not on that list. The Dallas Cowboys. Do I like their offseason? No. They say they're all in, and they haven't added anybody, and they lost a couple of offensive linemen. They lose Tony Pollard. They bring in Zeke Elliott. I don't like the Cowboys offseason. I'm not here defending it. I think it's weird what they're doing with the contracts. They've got a lame duck head coach in Mike McCarthy. They haven't paid Micah. They haven't paid CeeDee. They haven't paid Dak. That's going to lend itself to distractions and all of that. Okay. I'm not standing here saying great offseason, Dallas, but they led the league in scoring last year. They won 12 games. They've won 12 games 3 years in a row. You're telling me there's no version of events where the Dallas Cowboys say, okay, contracts, whatever, we're going to use it to us against the world, us against the front office, and go out there and have another great season and exercise some of those demons in the postseason? That's impossible. It's impossible that Dallas, with their pass rush and their takeaway specialists and their high-powered passing offense, it's impossible that they win the Super Bowl? No, of course not. The Atlanta Falcons, it's impossible that a team that brings back the entirety of its offensive line, upgraded at head coach, upgraded at play caller, upgraded at quarterback, upgraded at wide receiver 2 and 3, and is going to, give the ball to Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Drake London a little bit more, force feed their star players, their first-round picks of, the last 3 years before Michael Penix was picked this year. It's impossible that team could win a division, host a playoff game, and win a Super Bowl? No. I'm from Chicago. The Bears finish strong, could have a top 15 defense and a top 15 offense, a well-rounded young roster with, and this is the key point, that dude you're seeing right there, number 18, Caleb Williams. What if he's awesome? What if he's CJ Stroud this year? What if he's Justin Herbert this year? You take a 7-win team last year and inject, what was Stroud last year? Top 10 quarterback in the NFL? Obviously. Top 5? Debatably. You throw a top 10 quarterback onto that Bears team, they can win the Super Bowl. That's before you even mention Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze, all of their additions. So there's also history that we can take into account here. If you say it's only 12 teams that can win the Super Bowl, you're saying that roughly the teams that are in the 20-1 and better range are the teams that can win. And while that is obviously normally the case, there are exceptions to that rule, and it's not so ridiculous that I'm only arguing exceptions. The 2001 Patriots were 60-1. The 2017 Eagles were 60-1. If you broadened out Connor's list and said, all right, teams right now that are 60-1 or better to win the Super Bowl, they have a shot. That includes teams like the Jaguars, the Steelers, the Colts. You're telling me there's no Jaguars fan out there that thinks that this is the year that Trevor Lawrence puts it all together and they go on a run? There's no Colts fan that believes Anthony Richardson, he can be their version of Lamar Jackson. They liked what they saw from Shane Steichen. Steelers fans, obviously, they always think they can win the Super Bowl. They've never had a losing record. And then I can give you the extreme example. Kurt Warner, they were 150-1, the 99 Rams. That would include every team in the NFL other than the Patriots, Panthers, and Broncos. The NFL is a league of parity. It's a league of everyone believing they got a shot. It's a league of worst to first. There's more than 12 teams that can win the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Chiefs, the Niners, the Lions, those are the safe bets. Those are the best teams. The Ravens, of course. No one's denying that. They are the most likely outcome. but there's so much injury variance and one game single elimination variance that it's way more than 12 teams.